Hello everyone, Maram K here, and welcome back for part 3 of Vilja in Skyrim. See if I can catch this on camera.
Guess what? I have found one of the ingredients I was looking for. Isn't that great?
I like that she actually reached down and picked it up.
I have a confession to make. I am so curious about what you experienced in Skyrim before we met. Please tell me about your adventures.
Well, it all started in Helgen. Tell Vilja about your adventures.
What a story! And you're really good at telling stories. I almost feel like I had been there with you.
Um, let's talk for a little while.
Yes?
Tell me about yourself.
Would you like that?
Please, go ahead.
I told you of my grandmother and how she encouraged me to try to find my own path in life rather than trying to live up to my parents' expectations. Already when I was a little girl, I preferred to dance and sing and tell stories rather than helping my mother mixing herbs. On my 10th birthday, my grandmother gave me a flute, a very special flute made out of cyrodiil dogwood. It was like a whole new world opened up for me, the world of music. As soon as I had 5 minutes on my own, I was playing the flute. It didn't take long before I made up my mind. I wanted to be a bard. Of course my parents, and in particular my mother, were upset when I told them. You see, all the women in my family are alchemists, and everyone had taken for granted that I would follow the family tradition. However, my grandmother was on my side. She encouraged me to play, and she listened to my music, and she told me about the Bard College in Skyrim. But when I told my parents I wanted to go to Skyrim, they got furious. You see, they had completely different plans for me. Look, can we talk about this some other day, when we know each other a little better?
Okay, Vilja.
Shall we continue?
Yes, we shall. So, I don't know if I mentioned this last time or not, but she gave us this list of ingredients to collect. 2 mammoth tusks, 2 fly amanita cups, 1 mud crab chitin, 3 slaughterfish scales, 2 taproots, 1 small pearl. If I'm not mistaken, the small pearl can only be purchased at alchemy shops. I know right off the bat where we can get 2 mammoth tusks, and around the same area we can get the mud crab. Slaughterfish scales, probably just buy those along with the taproots. Okay. Well, should we kill that dragon, Vilja? Well, I'm gonna pick up the video. Probably. Well, I don't know if I'm gonna show us collecting all the ingredients. But, I'll pick up the video somewhere else, that's for sure.
Aren't you curious about what the Greybeards want to talk to you about? I am. You will take me with you to High Hrothgar, won't you?
Yes, Vilja, you'll come with me to High Hrothgar.
There's something I'd like to talk to you about. Have you got a minute?
Tell me your thoughts.
I'm having problems with some of the ingredients on the list that Anesia gave me. I'm simply not sure what the flowers that come from would look like. At home I had this wonderful book, Tamriel Flora Illustrated, with pictures of almost every flower you could think of. But, of course, I didn't bring it with me to Skyrim.
Maybe we can find a new copy for you.
Do you think so? Yes, maybe. Maybe an alchemist store would have it for sale. What do you think? Maybe we could ask around in the towns and see if someone has it for sale.
Okay. Look around and... oh, dang it. No. Look around in alchemist stores for a copy of Tamriel Flora Illustrated. Just like Oblivion. Vilja. Okay, so probably Whiterun.
Anesia told me that her friend Jelena so much admires the waterfalls in Markarth. She often goes there to visit a friend who owns the Hag's Cure.
Hmm.
Not to mention those elegant, snotty Breton girls.
I don't know. Anything else?
I don't like Nassim. He's self-righteous and patronizing, and he doesn't treat his wife very kindly.
I don't know.
Now it's your turn. You must have picked up some gossip as well.
I can't remember.
Oh, I'm sure you got something up your sleeve.
All right. Men are all alike, from Skyrim to Hammerfell. They care only for war and politics, and treat their women like cattle.
Yes, so they say.
Very well.
Well, that was one of the little sessions that Vilja and Lydia have. I didn't catch the first few bits of it, but I got most of it.
It's so nice to just talk a little, you and I. I was just thinking, would you be interested if I told you a little about myself?
Please, go ahead.
As I told you before, my parents weren't happy on my plans to go to the Skyrim Bard College. It was not only that they wanted me to be an alchemist, they also wanted me to get married. Ever since I was little, my father and our neighbor, Sigar, have been joking about that I should marry Sigar's son Halfdan. I thought they were just teasing us. Believe me, Halfdan isn't the kind of guy any girl with some sense would want to marry. He's an arrogant, spoiled little brat who thinks that every girl in the village adores him and would love to spend her life spoiling him even further. I never got along with him, especially not after he tried to kiss me and I smacked him. Somewhere where it probably hurt quite a lot. Therefore it came as a shock when my father said I couldn't go to the Bard College, as both my family and Halfdan's expected us to marry soon. What I thought was just a joke was seriously meant, and Halfdan, that jerk, said he was looking forward to taming the wildcat. Of course I got furious. Never ever would I want to marry someone I didn't love. My parents of course weren't too happy when I told them this, but eventually they accepted. But Halfdan, that jerk, he wouldn't take no for an answer. He yelled and screamed at me, and when I told him I didn't want to listen any further, he yelled that he would have his revenge, sooner or later. 2 days later, my precious flute, the one my grandmother had given me, was nowhere to be found. Halfdan had had his revenge.
Have you no idea what happened to the flute?
Oh, I actually have a pretty good idea about that, and I'd be happy to tell you all about it, but not right now. We have things to do, haven't we?
Yes, we do.
Shall we continue? It's so nice to just talk a little, you and I. I was just thinking, would you be interested if I told you a little about myself?
Please, go ahead.
I told you about my flute, didn't I? That it vanished 2 days after I told Haldan that I wouldn't marry him. Of course I instantly realized that it was Haldan who had taken my flute. But when I confronted him, he just laughed me in the face. He said I would never see the flute again, that such a precious flute was wasted on someone like me anyway, as I was going to be a wife and not a bard. As he didn't want his future wife to play music, he had simply sold my flute to weird Skyrim Khajiit bard. He said he was entitled to do this, being my fiancé and all. I wanted to take off for Skyrim immediately, trying to track down that Khajiit bard. But then something unexpected happened. My grandma got ill. Of course she was more important to me than any flute in the world. We realized that she didn't have many days left, and I wanted to be at her side. The last day of her life, she gave me a bottle. Yes, you know which bottle I mean. And asked me to bring it to Skyrim. You see, she had inherited this bottle from her own grandmother, and she had always thought that she would bring it to Skyrim herself. But marriage and children came in between for her, and she never had the opportunity to leave Solstheim. Now she felt guilty over this. She was so relieved when I promised her that I would fulfill her old promise. So here I am, with 2 missions. To keep my grandmother's promise to her grandmother, and to keep a promise to myself to track down the Khajiit bard and retrieve my flute.
Can I help you in any way?
Yes, that would be wonderful, of course. Ever since I arrived in Skyrim, I have been asking around among bards I have met, but no one has seen a Khajiit with a Cyrodiil dogwood flute. We should continue to ask around. Maybe we could ask the innkeepers if he has been seen. And maybe it would also be a good idea to ask Khajiits in general. Maybe he has relatives somewhere. If you would help me with this, it would be tremendous. Oh, if I only had my flute, I would be happy to play for you as often as you wish.
Alright, start. Vilja's missing
End
flute.
time.
Ask bards, innkeepers, and Khajiits if they have seen a Khajiit bard with a Cyrodiil dogwood flute.
The Solitude people can't be eating a lot of fish. Adva seems to be... It's so nice to just talk a little, you and I. I was just thinking, would you be interested if I told you a little about myself?
Please, go ahead.
As I told you, I left Solstheim soon after my grandmother had passed away. I took a ship from Raven Rock to Dawnstar. On the ship I met some nice bards, a storyteller, and a red god who was fantastic at playing the lute. He promised he would give me lessons, but, well, to tell the truth, I'm the worst landlubber ever. And very soon I got really seasick. I spent most of my time at sea with my head very close to a bucket. It wasn't very pleasant. And I, who always used to dream about being a sailor. When we arrived in Dawnstar, the bards just disappeared. Well, to be honest, first we spent an evening at the inn, where we had quite a few beer. I think I taught them how to dance on the table the way we do in Solstheim, but I'm not sure. I'm afraid I can't remember that part so well. Anyway, when I woke up the morning after, they were gone, and the innkeeper seemed to think that it would be a good idea if I left as well. To be honest, sometimes I don't understand the Skyrim Nords. They never seem to dance on the tables or have any fun at all. No wonder they all look so depressed and bitter. You should see the folks back home after a schnapps or 4. They really know how to dance on a table.
So you never learned how to play the lute then?
Well, I can play a little, but I don't own a lute. Maybe if one day I could afford to buy one. But I still would need lessons. Who knows? Maybe we will run into the red card bard one of these days. And then maybe he could teach me. Shall we continue?
Alright, so here we are.
There once was a house called named Lydia the Fair, who always was eating and sitting on a chair.
Why are you doing that?
Oh, don't get mad at me, Lydia. I'm only teasing you a little.
Huh?
Yes, honestly. I actually quite admire you. I mean, if I would eat half as much as you do, I would look like a house.
Unlike my husband Clever,
can't show you
I
a few
watch
tricks I
after
learned.
our guests.
Would you
Huh?
really do that for me? Oh, Lydia, you're such a sweetheart.
Nothing, you pig-headed
You know,
oaf.
I really hate gaining weight all the time. But food is so good. And meat.
All the wood furniture in this inn is rotten to the core.
Not now.
Do you know why that is, Clever?
Oh well, maybe later then.
I don't know.
Alright, as I was saying before, that interesting little
Don't mind
exchange
me
between
yelling. My parents are always going at each other.
Vilja and Lydia. We're in Markarth at Silverblood Inn. And if you ask Klepper here,
This is the Silverblood Inn. I'll let you figure out who owns it by yourself.
have you seen a Khajiit bard with a Cyrodiil dogwood flute?
Askrisad. A caravaner.
So we have to find one of those
Remember, ale
Khajiit
is cheaper than
caravanners
oil in Markarth.
that walk around, that travel around.
Oh, I do
Oh,
hope
boy.
we'll find a copy of Tammy and Flora Illustrated. I wonder where that book about Palmer ears came from. It might be a good place to
You were
look.
just standing there when
Now you
you're
see
supposed
that?
to be serving drinks to our
That was a
customers.
clue as to where the
Shouldn't you be
Tamriel
helping me
4
be
illustrated book
wife of
is.
mine?
It's also here in
Sharing my
Markarth
problems,
at the Hag's
being
Cure,
my better half.
but it's closed right now, so we'll just chill here
And
at
your
the
better
bar
half
until
is
it's
telling
open.
you to stop being an idiot and serve the
My darling.